Once upon a time, in a bustling village, filled with noise and color, lived a man whose wealth was known to all. His name was Rahim, the richest merchant in the region, with warehouses overflowing with wheat and gold. But despite his riches, Rahim's heart was as dry and empty as a desert stone. He saw people only as customers, and relationships only as transactions. His world was built on profit and loss, with no room for empathy or kindness. His days were spent behind a heavy wooden counter, counting coins and weighing goods, his expression always strict and uncaring. He believed that accumulating wealth was the only measure of a successful life, and he had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Yet, an unspoken hollowness echoed within him, a feeling he chose to ignore by surrounding himself with more and more riches. One scorching afternoon, when the sun beat down on the dusty marketplace, a poor farmer named Harun arrived. His clothes were simple and worn, and his face was etched with worry. He had walked 4 miles, carrying his family's last hope in the palm of his hand, a single tiny grain of wheat. He approached Rahim's counter, his body trembling slightly, not from weakness, but from the weight of his desperate plea. He stood humbly before the wealthy merchant. He took a deep breath, gathered his courage, and spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "Sir," he began, "my family hasn't eaten in 2 days. The drought has taken everything from us. Could you find it in your heart to spare just a little wheat?" Rahim looked down at Harun, his eyes cold and dismissive. He scoffed, a harsh sound that cut through the market's gentle hum. All around them, other villagers watched silently, their own faces a mixture of pity and fear. "I do not give anything for free," Rahim declared, his voice firm. "This is a business, not a charity. What will you pay me for my wheat?" Harun's shoulders slumped. He slowly opened his hand, revealing the solitary grain of wheat resting in his palm. It shone like a tiny speck of gold in the afternoon light. "This," Harun whispered, his voice cracking with emotion, "this is all I have." Rahim let out a loud, booming laugh. It was a cruel, mocking sound that echoed across the marketplace, causing the onlookers to shift uncomfortably. He couldn't believe the audacity of this man, offering a single grain for a sack of his finest wheat. Humiliated and heartbroken, Harun turned to walk away, his hope extinguished. As he turned, his hand fell open, and the precious grain of wheat slipped from his fingers. It tumbled through the air in what felt like slow motion, a tiny symbol of his shattered dream, before landing softly in the dust. But before it could be lost forever, a small hand darted out. A little boy, no older than 7, who had been watching from the side, picked up the grain. He ran to Harun, his face open and kind, and placed the grain back into the farmer's hand with a gentle, reassuring smile. He didn't ask for anything in return. It was a simple, pure act of kindness. Watching this unfold, something inside Rahim shifted. That simple, selfless act from a child who had nothing struck his heart harder than any storm. He saw the genuine care in the boy's eyes, a warmth that all his gold could never buy. He looked from the child to the heartbroken farmer, and then at his own overflowing warehouses. For the first time, he felt the true weight of his emptiness. That evening, he sat alone in his dim warehouse. The shadows, long and deep. The scent of wheat filled the air, but it no longer smelt of profit. He wondered, this child has nothing, yet he gave so freely. Why can't I? Who has everything? The question echoed in the cavernous space and in the quiet chambers of his own soul. A sudden resolve washed over him. He couldn't let the day end like this. Rahim ran out of his store, his heart pounding with a new and unfamiliar urgency. The dramatic sunlight silhouetted his figure as he called out, "Harun, wait! Come back!" Harun turned, confused and wary. Rahim hurried over, his face no longer cold and stern, but filled with a profound sense of shame and regret. With trembling hands, Rahim grabbed 2 large, heavy sacks of wheat and offered them to the astonished farmer. "Please," Rahim said, his voice thick with emotion. "Take this for your family." Harun stared, his eyes widening in disbelief. Before filling with tears of gratitude, he hugged the sacks tightly, as if they were the most precious treasure in the world. But, I have nothing to repay you," he stammered through his tears. Rahim placed a hand over his own heart and smiled, a genuine, humble smile that reached his eyes. "You've already given me something priceless." A sighed Rintley. "You and that little boy reminded me what truly matters." From that day forward, Rahim was a changed man. He opened a small store next to his main business, a place where the poor and hungry could take food freely, no questions asked. His wealth was no longer just for him. It became a source of life and hope for the entire village. His heart, once dry and empty, transformed. It was now filled not with the cold glitter of coins, but with the warm glow of compassion. He spent his days helping children, smiling and handing out bags of wheat, his face radiating a joy he had never known. He finally understood. He had learned that a single grain of wheat, when given with love and compassion, is worth more than all the gold in the world. Because true wealth is not what you keep, but what you share. It's the connections you build and the lives you touch. Sharing your blessings doesn't diminish them, it multiplies them, bringing a fulfillment that no amount of money can ever buy. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more inspiring tales.